This tutorial video is designed to help you go from standard form into scientific notation. So here I have two examples and I'll do a couple more. But standard form, it basically looks like a regular old number. It's either a really big number or a really small number, and you need to get it into scientific notation. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to figure out if your exponent in scientific notation is going to be positive or negative, okay? And the way you do that is by looking at your standard form. If the number, I can make a little key up here, is greater than 1, then the exponent is going to be positive. If your standard form is less than 1, your exponent is going to be negative. Okay? So I know that scientific notation is a number times 10 to a power. Okay? And a power is just an exponent. I see that this number in standard form is greater than 1. So if I look at my key, I know that greater than 1, the exponent is going to be positive. You don't have to put a plus sign for positive, but I am just to help me out. Okay? And then step 2, we have to figure out what this first number is going to be. So you need to move the decimal until you get a number between 1 and 10. And actually having 1 as the number is okay. You can't have 10, so it could be 1, anything between 1 and 10. Okay? So I don't see a decimal on this first one, so I know the decimal is at the end. Okay? And it wasn't there because it's not necessary to be there, but to actually convert this, to change it into scientific notation, I do need it, so I went ahead and put it. So now I'm going to move this decimal until I get a number between 1 and 10. Excuse me, I'm on the dip of my table there. So I'm going to move it right there. So now I'm going to rewrite this number. Now I have 1.23. I do not need all the zeros on the end because they don't matter when they're the end. When they're the rightmost numbers after a decimal, they do not matter. So I'm going to double check that that number is between 1 and 10, and it is. Okay, I already decided that my exponent was positive because the standard form was greater than 1. So now to actually figure out what number the exponent is, I'm just going to count how many times I moved my decimal. So I moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my exponent is a positive 9. Okay, so now we could do the second one. So the first thing, I know that, let me move this so I'm not on that dip in my table. I know that I'm going to have a number. It could be 1 or anything 1 through 10 times 10 to a power, an exponent. Okay. This number in standard form is less than 1 because it's a decimal, right? It's less than 1, which means my exponent is going to be negative. Okay, so if you break it up this way, it will help you, and it will help you make sure you get the right answer and don't accidentally rush and get something incorrect, okay? So now to get this first number, I need to move the decimal. This time it's at the beginning. I need to move it until I get a number between 1 and 10. I'm going to move it right there. Okay, so I don't need any of those zeros. So I'm going to put 5.83. I already decided that the exponent was negative because this number was less than 1. So now to just figure out what the exponent is, count how many times you moved your decimal. let's do 2 more. I'm gonna make them kind of small numbers. Typically you would only do scientific notation with really big or really small, but just for the sake of going a little quicker, excuse me, I'll do a smaller number. So when I'm looking at this number, I know it's in standard form. It looks like a regular old number. I have to put it into scientific notation. So I'm gonna have a number times 10 to a power, to an exponent. In standard form, it is greater than 1, which means my exponent is going to be positive. You don't have to put the plus sign, but if it helps you, like I'm just doing it temporarily and I'm going to cover it up at the end. Okay, so to get this number, the first number, that's called the constant, it's all by itself, I'm going to move the decimal, but I don't see a decimal, so I know that it's at the end, and I'm going to move it not there, because if I moved it there, I'd have 12.0. That's not between 1 and 10. So I can move it there. So I would get 1.2. I don't need the 0 because it's at the very end of a decimal. So to actually figure out what number my exponent is, I count how many times I move my decimal. So I moved it twice. So my exponent is 2. Okay, I want you to go ahead and try this one on your own and then check your answer with me. And it's a -3 because this number in standard form was less than 1.